All right, North-South Connection. Welcome to the final, the number one man in our Royal Rumble resume countdown. This is a show that will be about Stone Cold Steve Austin. I am joined by marvelous Mark Poirier. I am ravishing Roco Martone, and we're gonna have a fucking fun night tonight talking about Stone Cold. Mark, are you excited?
I am excited for one of my personal favorites of all time, and to gush over his Royal Rumble resume.
He's one of my favorites of all time too, and I think as we get to the end of this, we will see why he is number one. All right, so we're going to take a quick look at the stats, get those out of the way. We have 6 total Royal Rumbles, 3 wins, 5 Final Fours, 36 total eliminations. 6 total Rumbles means that's 6 per Rumble. Peak year 97, worst year 96. I agree with both of those. A total time of 2 hours and 41 minutes, which is almost as long as I feel like I've been doing this intro. So I think we should really kind of bang through them real quick
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
you think that's a good idea, Mark.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, so like 96, you know, kind of like he enters it as the ringmaster, right? So that's really is that Stone Cold proper? I don't even really count that one. I think the biggest part of that, the most interesting part of him in that Rumble is that he was not supposed to get thrown out when he got thrown out.
Right.
So I mean, in the match, he's Stone Cold in the match. He's still the ringmaster, so it's a very to me, I don't know. I kind of don't really even count this in his Royal Rumble lineage. What
Yeah,
about
I
you?
mean, he didn't do much outside of his one elimination to Bob Holly, where he did the Randy Savage knee to the back, and he closed on Shawn Michaels and did his pose mockingly. But outside of that, it was just in and out, and Mr. Perfect gush over him a little bit. So I mean, that's pretty much it about it. I mean, like I said, I don't really count that ringmaster year to anything until we get rolling into 1997 and the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
And like the things you mentioned, though, like he's the guy that should be the guy doing this. The Randy Savage knee. He is the
Right.
same. He's the guy who works like that and mocking HBK. So like, it's still he has a couple cool moments, but that match is probably best as like a catalyst for what happens to him. He's a guy without a set path. He's the ringmaster. So this thing and like not getting thrown out early, if the Stone Cold that we know, this is probably lighting a fire under him personally, professionally, and within that year, he built himself up in 1 year to be the man who is the linchpin of the greatest Royal Rumble ever in a 1 year time. So I think this match is important in that in personally, like a real quick anecdote. One time I played a show and my guitar player broke his string, and it was the worst show we ever played, and I couldn't stand it. We talked about it for years. Like 4 years later, we went back and we had a chip on our shoulder. We were going to play the best show we've ever played because the last time we were here, it was a fucking disaster. I feel like it's the same kind of thing with Stone Cold, where this thing just blew up. So we got to go to 97. And like I said, I think it's the best thing he's ever done. He's the Iron Man.
Yeah.
45 minutes, 10 eliminations. What are your basic thoughts on this one? This one's such a great.
It's iconic. There's a lot of even just moments that you've seen in 1,000 Steve Austin video packages over the years. Him doing the push-ups, him being on the turnbuckle, looking at his watch, waiting for the next guy to come out. Obviously, the biggest thing for me, obviously, in that match is the confrontation between him and Bret Hart. Being Canadian, obviously, I got to throw that in there. The place just going nuts. The look on his face initially, where he can't believe it. It's his nemesis now, and then he just calls him on. He just says, let's bring it, and they start going at it, and the place goes absolutely crazy. And just that moment leading into as the match progresses and the controversial finish, if you will, of what happened there at the end to lead to the next pay-per-view, and of course leading into WrestleMania that year, and the catalyst for the whole company, kind of just goes from there to that match starts it. I think for Austin and for the WWF in general for '97, leading to WrestleMania, and then of course Montreal later in the year, and it starts with Steve Austin in that Royal Rumble match, and it is the greatest Royal Rumble match. Hard to argue.
The two things that I've ever seen that are a ding on this, which I do not agree with, are people think that he shouldn't be so surprised when Brett shows up, like he's upset or something like that.
It's the initial reaction, right? I mean, like I said, he is like, I can't believe it's him. But then, I think he gets that, that in his body, like, okay, it's just me and you. and he starts calling him on as close as Brett gets closer, like, let's do it. And he doesn't back away. He doesn't go crawl under the ring or go outside. He brings the fight right to Brett, and they just go at it.
Well, I think that some people interpreted him as being scared or cowardly, where
Yeah,
it's not that. It's a man who just fought
it's a
30
surprise.
minutes.
Yeah.
He fought 30 minutes. He threw out a million dudes.
Yep.
It's like you're fighting. It's like when you play a video game as a kid and you think you beat the big boss, and then the end of level boss shows up. And you're like, this
Exactly.
fucking guy, like Jesus, I can't shake this dude. So it's not scared or anything. I think that some people like to interpret it that way, but they're wrong. To talk about the ending being a finale, it's a perfectly scripted final six of like. First off, this match is loaded with dudes. Almost every dude in this belt has had a title. Has been world champ. At the end of the match, we have 6 world champions in the ring. You got Vader, Kane, essentially, Cactus Jack, fucking Terry Funk,
Mhm.
Brett, and Austin. That's a sick lineup. But like the way that the characters do their thing with the 2 big guys fighting and the 2 crazy motherfuckers, Kings of the Death match from 2 years ago, brawl to the outside and they can't be controlled. That's the perfect 2 dudes to do that spot. Then you got the
Absolutely.
2 giant guys fighting. Brett throws out Austin. Brett throws out the 2 giants. He definitely deserves to win. Austin
Mhm.
sneaks in. It's such a perfect story, and it's the story that is about Brett. It's like this doesn't have to be. It's not Brett. This is Brett's Rumble, right? Kind of,
In a way,
and
yes.
so it's and Austin plays his part, and Austin is still the heel here and the ultimate heel leading into the WrestleMania, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. So like, I don't. It fits his character perfectly, and it's so well executed that I love it. I think it's almost kind of like the maybe like Survivor Series perfect the tournament, like in terms of just being scripted so well. So I don't know. I think the ending is just done perfectly. So
I totally agree. Watching it again, researching back for this recording here, I think to have everybody play their part perfectly well, like you said, Terry Funk and Mankind being the insane people they are, and of course the referees are going to have to try to separate those 2 lunatics, and
they're
you
gonna
know
the first row. They gotta save those fans, man. These guys might go all the way and destroy this
exactly,
whole building.
exactly. So for them to do that, and everybody, like I said, everybody played the perfect, and of course Brett's freak out at the end, and then of course the next night him quitting, and then they offering that a 4-way match, and then Shawn loses his smile, everything else that goes on leading towards WrestleMania, and everything just it couldn't be have booked perfectly any better. And I'm with you. It is the best Rumble, and it's you know the beginning of the Steve Austin era, I think, of the WWF at that time, and
And the beginning of Uber heel Brett too. Like perfect.
absolutely.
Oh, it's such a good thing.
Mhm.
Let's go to 98. Also good, but enters at 24, 7 eliminations, 15 minutes, 58 seconds. He's in the final 4 and he wins again.
Mhm.
So what do you think about this one, Mark?
So this one was more interesting because leading into it, he was doing the do unto others before you do unto them, and he was attacking everybody who's involved in the Rumble. So he was marked man in that Rumble, and there was a lot of dudes in the ring, and then the glass shattered, and they all stopped, and they're all looking for him, and then of course he's not an idiot, and especially because now he's a full-fledged babyface, whether he wants to believe it or not. And he comes from behind and gets one up on them and attacks and eliminates a couple dudes before things happen. And of course, we get down to the nitty gritty, and it's one of our not first really interactions, but it's the beginning of the Austin and Rock story, and then getting to being the final 2, and their interaction in this Rumble leading into the future of their story and their eventual trilogy at WrestleManias and stuff like that. So not as great, obviously great because it was used in their shorter time than the previous year, but I think still a pretty solid performance for Stone Cold in this one. Plus, there's a Honky Tonk Man appearance in this Rumble, so I mean that's a thumbs up for me as well.
Well, I mean, you think of, he's in there for 15 minutes, but he throws out 7 dudes, and
Yeah,
once again, he's stone cold. He's a kinetic energy. And it shows in his first couple where he was able to kind of temper when he's in there longer. He is able to slow down a little bit and not be so stone cold. But in these moments where he's in there for 15 minutes and in 01, when he's in there for 9, like he is just a ball of fucking energy and
yeah,
fire, and he can't stop. I think this match also has the greatest go home to a Royal Rumble match ever, where it's all the dudes waiting for
yeah,
to draw the numbers, and Stone Cold just said, "Fuck this, screw the concept of the match, screw you guys."
yep,
So kinetic and just like made people like that week. before that Rumble, people just could not wait. The final four of that are interesting because you get The Rock, you get Farouk, you get Foley, and you get Austin. So it's cool, and you have the tag teams, the groups together, you know. And I
Yes,
mean,
yeah,
not that Foley and Austin were a group at this point, but they had an allegiance. They go to it. The only thing I don't love is I always hate when guys break up their alliance before they have to. But when it's Final Four, I'm willing to forgive it. And also,
yeah,
like, you know, The Rock's just a fucking mean dude. Austin's a mean dude. They just want to get to each other, right? Like, it's not about getting to the end almost. It's like getting to each other. They don't want to be. Stone Cold doesn't want to take out Farouk. He doesn't want to be in there with Foley at the end. He wants to be in there with The Rock at the end, right?
exactly.
So that makes sense to me. So
Yep, absolutely. And also Farouk, when he first came in there, he went immediately after at the Rock, and it was the beginning of the end of, obviously they're in the middle of the breaking up the nation at that point. So I can see them breaking off immediately in the final four to go after each other. And then of course, and this was also Mick Foley's third appearance in this Rumble as well, as he came in as his other Mankind and Cactus Jack characters as well throughout the Rumble. So kind of cheated to get to the final four, but you know, he still got there, and that's all that matters, right? So
yeah, right. If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
exactly.
I guess the next one, 1999, maybe the most controversial
I
appearance for
will agree with
Stone
that
Cold.
one. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the season 4 of Community Royal Rumble appearance by Stone Cold. One enters at one, has 8 eliminations, is in there for 56 minutes, 38 seconds,
But is he?
kinda, and he wins. No, sorry, and he is in the final 4
Yes.
again. He does not win. He's thrown out by Vince McMahon. You could take the, you could go through this one.
So, and of course, this one again, it was another Austin's a marked man because Vince McMahon had promised $100,000 out of Shane McMahon's trust fund to anybody who threw out Steve Austin, and and of course they started off, and then Golgo came in a 3, Austin tosses him, and then McMahon flees, and of course it's a trap, and Austin gets beat up by the corporation up in the bathroom in the concourse level, and he's out for a while until magically he has commandeered a ambulance and is returned to the arena to re-enter the Rumble, none worse for wear, but you know, still puts on a good performance, gets all his eliminations, all including China, and when she came in number 30 after winning the corporate Rumble on Raw, and then we led into again with The Rock after just winning the world title early in the night in the I Quit match against Mankind, coming out to distract Austin and leading to Vincent Kennedy McMahon winning the 1999 Royal Rumble.
You know, I mean, Vince McMahon loves the guy. He will not give up on the babyface who leaves and then comes back, even though it's
Yep.
never works. It didn't work for Roman. Didn't work. Sasha Banks, Hell in a Cell.
Nope.
Whenever guys get taken, the only time it ever worked was Mick Foley falling off the cell, and that's because you know he was literally almost dead.
Yes.
That's the only reason a guy. If you don't fall off a cell, you should not be taken away from the ringside. It does not babyface you in any way.
Mhm.
But I get it. I get the story. I do love like certain parts. Stone Cold in a vehicle. Come on. I mean, that's a point right there. Stone Cold removing everyone from the match essentially, and then dragging Vince in was a
Yeah,
cool
that was
moment.
cool. Yeah, for sure.
He's like, I don't need to go grit him now. I'll let him sit there on commentary, and then I'll bring the trash in and get rid of it.
Mhm.
And you know, this like the Rumble doesn't need to be in projects like this when you're ranking them and stuff. Yeah, like this was what it is, but it was not meant to be this guy's going to challenge the main guy at WrestleMania in a linear path. This was a more circumventional, serpentine way to get to that match. So it's kind of like the finale of Breaking Bad was phenomenal. The second to last episode was more just setting you up for that finale. And that's sometimes what this Rumble could be. And that's what it did. It's not my favorite thing to have the main point of the match not be in the match for so long,
Exactly.
but it fucking led to a pretty amazing WrestleMania. So, and I think that's what it was trying to do. So, yeah, not my favorite, but I'm not as gonna hate on it as much.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with you.
And yeah, we'll go to 2001. He skips 2000, probably better off in.
Yeah.
So 2001, I'll go through the stats. Enters at 27, kinda. Again, 3
Yeah,
eliminations,
yeah.
9 minutes 38 seconds, and this one he does win. So
He does win, and like you said, he kind of enters in that, and when he gets there, he is jumped by Triple H, and they brawl around the entranceway, and he gushes something fierce, and he's bleeding all over the place. And when he finally gets back into the Rumble, and you know, lays waste to everybody, and then we get down to him, Kane, and Rock at the final 3, and it leads to I don't know, it's not really talked about, but it's actually, I think it's one of an incredible Rumble moment where Austin and Rock are on the opposite corners, and Austin's just covered in blood, and he sees it's Rock, his biggest nemesis, and they just lock eyes on each other and are like, okay, it's time to go. We both want to go to WrestleMania. Let's go. It's on, and they start going at it, and it's Kane gets out Rock, and then leads to Austin beating the hell out of Kane with some chair shots to finally get the victory and getting his third Rumble win, and leading on to a controversial finish at the WrestleMania that year. But that's a story for another time. But even in a short little 9-10 minutes for Austin, I think it's still impactful on his Royal Rumble resume, and I think it still did well. So I think the blood helped a lot in this instance for this Rumble match.
Blood in a Rumble is not always
very rare.
Always awesome to see. And like you're saying, that stare down with him and Rock it's a thing that you could see in a package, and you might assume it's literally during the last 5 minutes of a WrestleMania match, but it's not. It's such an emotional thing. And then, like, first off, like, I like the end as a vindication because, like, I believe Kane stole his 10 record of eliminations.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
In that match, so by killing Kane, but by literally killing Kane, this is easily the most violent finish to a Royal Rumble match in history, which is why. Probably I should just make it my favorite because of that, because I want violence to be 3 just chairs to Kane and a massive Larry. I mean, it brutal way anyone's ever been eliminated in a Royal Rumble. You could give it to London doing the flip and Sabu, my boy, getting chokeslammed by Big Show, but this is the most violent fucking elimination ever, and that's awesome.
I mean, outside after 99, where Vince took a chair shot really bad on the outside before they got into the ring, but this was probably worse than that with those 3 chair shots that he gave to Kane. Violence is beautiful, so I'm totally with you on that one. So it was an awesome finish, I thought.
It just has so much excitement towards the end of it, and I loved it. And it's funny because Kane takes out Rock. It's not that Austin, so it still gives that. Not they're together, but he doesn't have that over the Rock yet leading. So I thought that was really cool too. So
I agree.
And then we're the last one, the finale for Austin in a Royal Rumble 2002. Enters at 19, 7 eliminations, 26 minutes and 46 seconds. He is in the final 4, but he does not win. Take us through this one, Mark.
So yeah, we're in the what era now of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's obviously returned babyface after Mania 17, but he is basically, sadly, I think he's kind of seen as an afterthought as we get into a moment of the Rumble after he's eliminated Christian and Chuck Palumbo twice for whatever reason, for fun, I guess. And, everybody's got the what chance going, but it led to the big stare down and the big one-on-one between him and Triple H making his return from his torn quad. I just felt, and obviously not in just retrospect, but you can just tell, like, this was Hunter's Rumble to win. And, Austin was there, and there's a lot of good guys at the end there. He had Mr. Perfect come back into the company. He was near the end there. He was in the final 4, if I believe. Kurt Angle and Hunter and Austin at the end. And it wasn't Steve's time this time. It was time for Triple H. It was his time for the Undisputed Championship. So, but, a good finish. And for Austin's Royal Rumble career, he still had a great performance. Crowd went crazy for him. He got the what chance, and just a lot of excitement going into the finish. But I guess, like I said, this was all Hunter's Rumble at this point.
But he does, like, the character of Stone Cold so strong that he does the eliminating Christian and Chuck, and then he's alone, and he might be the best guy at being alone in a Royal Rumble. In history.
Looking at his watch, that kind of stuff is amazing, right?
And then in this one, he's like, I'm bored. I'm going to go beat the fuck out of these guys until the next guys come out. And then he takes out 2 more dudes.
Yeah.
It's such a cool moment. It's such a just like, I'm a violent maniac, and I'm going to continue to be a violent maniac. That final 4, too, where he gets eliminated, and then he comes back in the ring.
Yeah.
And decides to take out the 3 dudes in the final 3. Yeah. Like, that is insane. That is beautiful, because it's like, what does it say on Stone Cold's shirt? Raise hell, leave. Arrive, raise hell, leave.
Exactly.
I mean, this is this match for him right there. It's his like, his character is so consistent in all these Rumbles, and it just there's an evolution and unfortunately a de-evolution, since it's like he's leaving kind of after this match and this isn't his best year. But like, just the character moments are so strong in these. Like, he's the Iron Man in what, 97, but like when you talk about the
Yeah.
Iron Man or the winner or whatever, or the big moments, but like a guy whose character is so good. Reminds me a little bit of like HBK and Marty Jannetty when they were in the Royal Rumble after they
Yep.
broke up. They instantly find each other and they beat the living shit out of each other. Stone
Tito's
Cold
and
and The Rock,
Conrad Cartel too. Those guys always found each other in a Royal Rumble
correct.
match and just
And
wanted at it. Yeah.
yeah, and Hogan and Rock have a little bit of that a couple times, but like
Mhm.
just Hogan as a performer himself is just so perfect for that sort of thing. So yeah, man. I mean, what if what a run? I mean, it's not a surprise he's number one to me. So let's go through some of the stuff that other people have talked about. It's got a cage side ranking of number one. So we both agreed our favorite and least favorite were pretty much the same, I
Yeah.
think.
96 obviously the worst. Ringmaster was garbage. Obviously, we throw that one out. The 97, everything about that match and his performance and the finish with Brett and everything else. You couldn't have drawn it up better. And I think we've got across the board. I think our feelings are pretty much the same about each performance of him and in the Rumbles, and just his everything you said about that, and his. I think it's more of his facials and just his interactions. Just like I said, in between time when he had those moments where he's just by himself and he's just like, I'm the baddest dude here, and he always gave that aura, and that's why you, me, and a cajillion other people loved him.
Yeah, when you're in a match that has 30 competitors with big stakes and stuff, and you are the most anticipated, like the two matches where he's announced and he waits, and when he gets taken out at the 2001, that's just building anticipation for a guy, and those don't work unless it's a guy people want to see and are ravenous to see. That's why the kind of the 99 one fails, because people want to see him. They don't need that big story of him not being there to sell his like being beat down or anything, because they just want to see him, and that's too long. They lost it. But the other ones, it just builds it. So he's just such a charismatic performer, stands above everyone else when he's in the ring, when people are waiting for him to show up in the ring. I just think the stats too, like a guy that like that doesn't maybe like averages 6 eliminations per thing, like has a couple big like just he maximizes his minutes, to use a sports term, right? Like when he's in there, everything he does is important. So
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know there's anything else I could say, but yours eloquently put it. So I mean, I think that's why he's number one on pretty much. I don't know about everybody's list, but our list here, cage match, whoever, he's the man.
all salient lists would have him on the
Yeah,
top of it. So.
Can't beat him.
Yeah, man, it's a great career. If you want to sum it up like a film director's career, like he had his first movie that maybe like wasn't his he didn't have full control over, and then like a Marty Scorsese, and he like kind of did it one for the company, and then he goes like, you know what, I'm coming out in my mean streets, my Taxi Driver, my Raging Bull, like and he went out on his own terms. We'll have a conversation about that some other day. At WrestleMania, we'll talk about him and him being Marty Scorsese. But also, man, I think we covered everything we need to cover on this guy. It's Stone Cold. A million words have been spoken about him. I could speak a million myself, but that's not for right now. Anything else? I think we covered everything.
I think we're good, man. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Do you have anything you'd like to plug or?
Nope, still have nothing. I mean, ChroNoSo monthly, once in a while, I guess I'm on that. Check that out for my 2 to 3 minute thoughts on usually some crappy ass matches from 1989 we're at right now. So look out for that in the future.
Cool. You can see me on that as well. You can check out my band Chained to the Dead. We have new merch, new CDs, and find us on any streaming services, and find us on YouTube too. All our shit's up on there, videos and all sorts of fun stuff as well. For Marvelous Mark Poirer, I'm Ravishing Roco Martone, and this is it. We're done.
Thank you.